I was sent a very interesting short animated video the other day, and it's a training aid for teachers, and it comes from the Teachers Union. So, as a father of five children and as a manager of people for a couple of decades, I have some thoughts on this kind of thing. But anyway, we'll play it, and I'll stop now and then to give my input.
At a parent-teacher meeting, a mother told me that her child, who we called Lucy, identified as a boy and wished to be called Liam. After this, I set about preparing the class for Liam's social transition.
To be honest, the first thing that strikes me is the unsettling kind of optics of this cartoon, especially the eyes. Kind of reminds me of that film Coraline.
I taught lessons investigating and challenging gender stereotypes, and using the book Introducing Teddy, explained that some people don't identify with the gender they're assigned at birth.
That is true. Some people don't identify with the gender they were assigned at birth, i.e. their biological, actual gender. I believe it's called gender dysphoria, and as far as I'm aware, it's an extremely rare phenomenon or condition. But, maybe I'll get hold of the Teddy book and educate myself further.
I said, Tilly wasn't happy because everyone saw her as a boy, but she knew she was really a girl.
She knew she was really a girl. These are very young kids being portrayed in this video, so knowing you're a girl when you're biologically a male, that's pretty strong stuff to come from a teacher to a class of very young children. Shouldn't they really bring in, professionals for this kind of advanced psychological intervention?
My pupil Ray asked, so boys can change into girls? And then Julie chimed in, and girls can change into boys? Yes, I said.
Yes, a teacher with no training in these matters said to kids who were asking that question. How can a teacher say that to very young kids when biologically the situation is quite clear and quite complex in its psychological sides? This is very interesting.
Sometimes, while the doctor says a baby is a boy, as that baby grows up, they feel inside that they're not a boy.
Yes, this happens, and it has always happened, for sure. But either it's a phase, or it would come under the category, I guess, of gender dysphoria, which would require a longer conversation with professionals.
While they might have a boy's name, like Tilly, they know they aren't a boy.
Again, there's that phrase, know, that a very young child would know that they are not a boy. Even if that is the biological reality, they know otherwise. So this strikes me very much as the kind of thing we would do in management, where we were kind of manipulating people and using certain phraseology to push a certain idea or concept onto someone. But of course we were dealing with adults, not with young kids.
And want to change their name. The same can happen for a girl. By making those changes, the person feels happier and more like themselves.
I'm delighted with the happiness, but the really big thing that changed was a teacher with no credentials, apparently in biology or reality, made a statement multiple times to a class of kids saying that people knew they were not and that they can actually change fundamental scientific realities. So that's a big change.
Some people who experience this might use the word transgender to describe themselves. Once the pupils understood the concept, and once Liam and his mum were happy, I helped him tell the class. Everyone, do you remember last week we read about Tilly? Everyone replied, yes. Well, we're very lucky to know a person like that, and they're even in our class. The person we've been calling Lucy is really a boy.
Is really a boy. Again, this teacher tells a bunch of young children an apparent fact that this biological girl is really a boy. Do you think the teacher is massively going beyond his remit?
And is now ready to tell us all. Liam told the class. I've always felt like a boy.
Well, at least the kid is honest. I've always felt like a boy. Much more honest than the teacher.
My new name is Liam.
Fair play to you, Liam. Good name.
So when I call the rulla, I'll be calling out Liam McCarthy. And we will all call him Liam, won't we? The whole class agreed. Yes, teacher.
Well, they're hardly going to cause some trouble with this particular topic these days, right?
Then Paul asked, Teacher, is Liam still sitting at our table?
Well, Paul, given it's a mixed class, that wasn't a very smart question, was it?
I laughed and replied, yes, nothing has changed except Liam's name. And nothing did change, except that Liam seemed much happier in school. A few weeks later, I introduced the pupils to non-binary identity.
You did you? And how is this in your remit? These are young kids in this cartoon, far as I can tell.
Where people don't identify with being either a boy or a girl. The most important element of any lesson on gender identity is that we put the emphasis on respecting everyone, regardless of gender identity or expression.
I absolutely concur. We always respect people, regardless of their condition, their perception, how they see themselves, how they want to live in the world, within the law. But the rest of that video, there's something very, very unsettling about it. So what the hell exactly is going on? Well, it wouldn't be me if I didn't give you some helpful answers or input as to the challenge we are now facing on this front. And here's an interview from Sky News Australia, mainstream, with Matt Walsh, I think, who made a movie. And it helps to explain not only the problem we're facing, but also the origins and where this challenge is coming from. And it's not really coming from grassroots or minorities or anything like that. It's very much coming from above and from institutions, academia, and from a few decades of build-up, leading us to a very, very weird place. So here you go.
Well, it starts with just recognizing that gender ideology is this pervasive, toxic influence in our culture across the world, across the Western world anyway, and also realizing that, you know, in spite of the fact that it's been so successful in claiming so many people's minds, it is really quite hollow at its core. And it seemed to me, you know, going back years, that just a couple of questions really bring down the whole house of cards, starting with the question, which is in the title of the movie, of course, what is a woman? If you can't define what the word woman is, then nothing that the gender ideologues say makes any sense. None of the claims that they make any sense if they can't define the term. And as we discovered filming the documentary, they certainly cannot define the term.
Now, back to what is a woman. You spoke to plenty of experts, and some of them were triggered by the strangest things. Even the word truth was seen as triggering and transphobic. Let's have a look.
Well, I'm not even talking about social context. I'm just trying to start by getting to the truth, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really uncomfortable with that language of like getting to the truth. Again, in social life.
Why is that uncomfortable?
Because it sounds actually deeply transphobic to me. And if you keep probing, we're going to stop the interview.
If I probe about what the truth is?
You keep invoking the word truth, which is condescending and rude. I'm saying to you.
How is the word truth condescending and rude?
Because what you find out is that at base, at bottom, all this gender ideology stuff, it's really a war on truth. It's really, really comes down to relativism and the belief that we all get our own truth and our own reality. And I think that's ultimately what they're trying to defend, I think. This is not just something out on the fringes or, as you say, just in the universities anymore that we can ignore. It is everywhere. And I think what happened is, you know, it seems like it came out of nowhere 5 or 10 years ago, but it really didn't. It made its way into the institutions, especially academia, government, media. It made its way into those institutions over the course of decades. And then from there, I think, filtered down into the general population. And then maybe, 8-10 years ago is when it kind of it exploded onto the scene on a mainstream level. And now, you go anywhere, and at least you go anywhere in the Western world, and people are impacted by these ideas, and many people have bought into them without even realizing that they have.
So there you have it. Watch this space, I would suggest. And again, it's very important to be aware of the forces in this world, often corporate or institutional, that drive the world into new places which don't necessarily advance the wellness and well-being of humanity, but often have more questionable motives, shall we say. So thanks as always to all my supporters. Links are down below. You want to continue supporting me, or new people who can support me within their means, to keep analysing the science, analysing geopolitics, analysing data, and helping people to understand how the world really works and see behind the headlines as to what's really going on in the murky underbelly of our corporate-led world. So thank you.